Hi, welcome back to the channel. Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing some things that weren't really worth my money in homeschooling and some things that were worth my money. So some things that had value and some things that didn't, that I purchased throughout the year. So we've been homeschooling. This is year 5. Currently have a 7th grader, 3rd grader, and kindergartner. So first I'm going to go through some of the things that I kind of feel like were a waste of my money. And again, this is just personally me, just because these things didn't hold value in my homeschool does not mean it doesn't hold value in your homeschool. Every homeschool is different. Just want to put that out there right away. But these are things I purchased that I'm like, didn't really use or didn't really get a lot of use or work or value out of. So the first one is recently this year. So I tried a trial subscription of Homeschool Planet. So my oldest daughter is doing Conceptual Academy Science this year. And there is automated scheduling and lesson plans that Homeschool Planet has. So they will email your child and you, kind of organizes it all. The concept I think is really cool. And I think if you have multiple plans, multiple curriculum that fits in there, maybe it would be of value. So I think, spending $15 for like the schedule isn't a lot. But to then spend $8, $9 a month just to have access to this platform, I don't think it's worth it, at least at this point. The only thing my daughter was using it was for that one science thing. And yes, was it convenient to have her get the email every day with her assignment and a link to take her to the actual website? Yes. But is it worth the money to me? No. So we, after the free trial ended, we just didn't continue with it. It's just as easy to print out that schedule and have her mark out every single day when she does something. I don't need it planned out to that extent. But again, that could just be because I'm not doing multiple curriculum on it. I don't have multiple kids scheduled. But at this point, I don't think Homeschool Planet is worth the value of money. Number 2, TimesTales. We tried this past year just to do like a refresher for my oldest. And then my youngest, I thought it'd be an interesting way, because she likes visual things, to kind of help with math facts. And it was interesting, they went through it, but none of it stuck. None of it was really solidified. I think it's an interesting approach to learning math facts. But one, I don't think the graphics were that great, especially for what you're paying for it. I think it was over $50, which I think is pretty ridiculous for what you get. And then none of the information actually stuck. And the stories weren't like great that you would easily remember them. So TimesTales, not worth the money to us. Next would be educational games, and this is just personally me. I'm not a game person, never have been, never will be. I like the idea of educational games. I like the idea of learning something in a fun way. I'm just not the type that's going to sit down and play a game, not the type that's going to naturally implement it. We have used curriculum in the past that has scheduled games in. Torchlight did that in the past. And when that was done, I would do it. But I'm not one to pick it up, but that doesn't stop me from purchasing them. So some things I bought in the past that we've only played, a handful of times is some, learning resources. And it's funny because we were at Walmart the other day in the clearance section, and they had a bunch of learning resources things clearanced out because back to school is over for the public school system. And I was like, those look like really interesting games, but I'm never going to use them, so I'm not going to buy them. Same with this. I bought this when we did our geography unit. It was fun and interesting. We did it a few times, but after that, never picked it up again. And these are not the games my kids pick up to just play for fun. So this would be one we purchased not too long ago too. Guess in 10. Again, fun the first few times. My kids won't pick them up again. I'm naturally not going to pick them up again. So for me, buying educational games, not worth the money. And next would be trendy curriculum. Now this does not mean that it's not of value. You won't get use out of it. It's not a good curriculum. It means it's not worth it if you don't use it. So I do think certain curriculum come up that's really popular. Everyone starts buying it, and then everybody gets bored with it and moves on to the next thing. That's not to say it's not good. Like Mint and Bloom constantly puts things out. They recently just put out a history, which I thought looked really interesting. But again, I have history planned for this entire year. I don't need to do anything else. So although it looks interesting, I don't need to buy it because I wouldn't use it. It's wasting your money if you buy the curriculum and don't use it. Same with trendy curriculum that's just trendy, that it's not actually of value. It's just fun and games and you're actually not getting anything out of it, it's just becoming busy work, then it's not worth it. Next would be planners. So planner is a big one in homeschool. I think there's a lot of different planner options. There's a lot of accessories that go with planners. And I did fall into that kind of trap of trendiness early on, but since then I really don't care. I don't care how the planner looks as long as the layout fits what I need, as long as it's dated. I can't stand undated calendars or planners because I'm not going to go through and date every single thing. And again, that's not how I record keep my homeschooling, so that doesn't really matter. So I literally just have a $12 planner, $13 from Marshall's that I picked up for this year. Everything's labeled out. I can fit whatever I need for in homeschooling, whatever I need for meal planning, all in this easy planner. I'm not super complicated. I'm not gonna be the person that decorates it with stickers, washi tape, or colors. That's not me. And there's nothing wrong if that's you. It's not me, so I don't need to buy a super expensive planner. I don't have to buy a specialized homeschool planner. The $12 planner works just fine. So the next would be things you only use once. So just because the curriculum says you need it and you use it once, is it really worth the money? Not necessarily. So I've gotten really a lot better with this. So for this year, my 8-year-old is doing some novel studies for language arts. And I was looking at, we're using Lit House Studies, and I was looking at the book options, and the local library didn't have the book that I wanted to do with her. I thought, okay, well, I guess I could just purchase it off First Books. That's only a couple bucks, but is she going to necessarily read the book again? Do I need another book just to, have? I do think having, nonfiction books or books that add value to your homeschool is great, but if they're never going to pick up the book again, it's probably not worth purchasing. So I've gotten better, and I asked my homeschool mom friend if I could borrow her copy of it, and she lent it to me to use for this unit. But I think that's a really good thing. If you're only using it once or twice, do you really need to purchase it? My local library has a bunch of things you can rent out. They have telescopes, they have microscopes, they have different measuring devices. They have a lot of options. Also, your homeschool network, see if someone has that, put it out on, the chat or message someone, say, hey, do you have this? I can borrow it. So for example, one of the things I've bought in the past that we only used for, I think, a chapter in Dimensions. Did I really need to purchase this? No, in fact, the library, I'm pretty sure, has something like this. We've used it for that one chapter and never picked it up since. So it's one of those things that you don't necessarily need. Same thing with this. My local library has a version of this. They actually have an entire human body kit that you can check out that has a bunch of different resources that go with it, like puzzles and this statue thing as well, where all the parts come. Again, did I have to purchase it? No. Have we used this since we've talked about the human body? No. We're probably missing some of those internal organs, I'm not gonna lie. So, was it really worth it? Did I get the value out of it if I only use it once? No. So I've gotten really better at just networking and seeing what resources I can use, opposed to just buying them because the curriculum says you're going to use it. The last one that hasn't been really a lot of value to me is math manipulatives. And again, this is just personal preference. My oldest doesn't really use them, hasn't really liked them. My middle child likes to play with them and not actually use them in the intended purpose, like build things with them or create worlds, which is great and creative, but it's a distraction in math. And then my youngest, the only thing we really used for him, I'll grab it. These are what we've been using. So I've had the counting bears, I've had blocks, I've had all, the popular math manipulatives. Again, this could just be my kids aren't really prone to them. These have worked out great. We've used them a ton. And talk about borrowing instead of purchasing. We had one lesson, Dimensions, that had the blocks, the 100 blocks and then the 10 blocks, all that. I don't own any of those. So I just, again, asked a homeschool mom friend if I could borrow it for that lesson, and then I gave them back. We didn't need them. Same with this. This is something we use that I got a really long time ago. A simple clock doesn't need to be really complicated. So that's really the extent of our math manipulatives. So I don't really need to buy all those things, and we've actually gotten rid of a lot of the math manipulatives we had in the beginning years. So next, I'm going to go over some things that I think were actually worth it to pay for. So first category is going to be technology. So the first one is my computer, my daughter's computer. So my daughter this year got a laptop, and that was essentially because she's doing some things using her computer this year. She has some online platforms she's doing her schoolwork through, also typing up things instead of writing them now. So it was time to get her a resource that she could use instead of using my desktop or laptop, because I use my desktop or laptop to aid in schooling her siblings, so it's not always available. So I think when they reach the appropriate age, having their own laptop is really helpful, and it's been really useful for her this year so far. Next would be my computer and my tablet are really essential. We use a lot of core knowledge in our homeschool, and that's everything is online, completely free. So I download the teacher guides onto my tablet, and then I'll put the student readers either on my kid's tablet or on my big Mac desktop because it looks like a screen. And that has worked out really great. I don't have to print out everything. I don't have to print out these massive teacher guides. It saves me money on printing. So I think those technology is really useful in homeschooling if you're utilizing it. Next would be my printer. I have an Epson EcoTank, which I think is fantastic. Again, a lot of the curriculum we've been buying has been PDF forms, which it's helpful to be able to print that out and not kill the printer. I think we've only bought ink once since we bought it years ago, and that was the black ink. And again, I'm not printing massive amounts, but I'm printing a pretty decent amount, I think, for my 3 kids. All the core knowledge things that go with their language arts is being printed. When we did science and history last year in core knowledge, I was printing a lot of the worksheets that go with it. So Epson EcoTank, I 100% believe is worth the value. The next would be a pencil sharpener. And again, we had the just regular hand pencil sharpeners when we first started out, and I found this one at Ollie's. It's an electric pencil sharpener. It has paid for itself because my kids go through pencils like crazy, and not having them break it every single time they try to use the hand one has been beneficial. So I think a good pencil sharpener is absolutely worth the price. Next would be reusable curriculum. What I mean by reusable curriculum is curriculum that can be used for more than one child. This is really helpful because it saves your budget. If you watch my budget videos, I'll link some up above. That's how I save a lot of money. Some of the things I've used can pass down from my oldest to my youngest. So for example, I picked up 2 that have been passed down, multiple kids, all about reading. My oldest did this, who's now 12. My 8-year-old is on the last level, and my 5-year-old is currently on the first level. So you can see that's 3 kids that, now my first child only did like half of this and then went to public school. My second child has done all of the levels up to 4, and then my last child will do all 4 levels as well. So you can see, although it was an upfront cost, it's really got a ton of value in it because I can reuse it with multiple kids. Another thing, Dimensions. So my oldest started with Dimensions 3 and has worked all the way. We're currently in Dimensions 6. And then same with my 8-year-old, she started Dimensions KB and worked her way up. So I have the teacher guides from KB all the way up to 6. So it's something I can reuse. So when my youngest is now doing this, the only thing I had to purchase was the textbook and workbook, which is like $28, which is nothing. So overall, I'm saving money because I'm able to use these resources again. Next would be headphones. These are absolutely worth the price. So we have noise canceling headphones. These are these. And that's really beneficial for my 8-year-old who has ADHD. Focus can be difficult for her, especially with her siblings running around or if they finish early. She gets easily distracted and frustrated. So popping these on really helps her. Or I won't lie, when I'm reading for my own fun and the kids are really loud, I put these on because it makes it easier for me to focus. And then we have just generic headphones. These are my husband's. These are my oldest daughter. My husband uses these when he does work at home. And then my oldest daughter, these are the ones that she's using with her laptop for her science and her writing this year. and she's also listening to the audiobooks of Curiosity Chronicles history. So again, having their own things when it's age appropriate, their headphones and their laptop, makes it great. She can kind of go off and do her things. They're responsible for their technology. They're old enough to understand and appreciate and respect that technology. So totally worth the money, headphones. And then the last thing I think is really beneficial and worth it in our homeschool is we don't do any type of like beginning of the year party or end of the year party, any celebrations like that. We don't do presents or gifts for the beginning or end of the year, but we do go out to our local coffee house the first day of school and the last day of school, and that's a lot of fun. We like supporting a local business. We enjoy getting drinks. The kids look forward to it every year. Our last day of school or the last week of school is usually our testing week, our standardized testing week. So the kids really look forward to finishing their test and going to get a drink. And it's not, it's expensive, $25, $30 for all of us to get drinks and sit down and enjoy the coffee shop. But it's something that has value. And you don't, again, have to go overboard and have this big thing. It can just be simply going out and getting coffee or flavored drinks or something special like that. That absolutely has value in our homeschool and worth the money. So those are the things that I've kind of wasted money on in the past years, and things that I think over the past years have worked out really well and worth the money. If you'd like to share something that you bought that was a complete waste of money, you didn't end up using it, or it just wasn't as great as you thought, or something that you would think is valuable that you would use in your homeschool again and again and absolutely would purchase, leave them in the comments down below, because I'd be curious to see kind of where people land with things and what's important to them and what's not. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, thank you for watching.